Hi folks, in this episode we're dealing with transparency in spirits, and by that I don't mean chill filtration, I'm talking about your drinking experience. Watch this episode to find out more. Right, so transparency in spirits. It's something we're really passionate about at Navigate World Whisky. You could say transparency is something of a golden thread that weaves through the portfolio. And I'll elaborate on what I mean by that later. But when you invest in a bottle of fine spirit, you're investing in, depending how heavy-handed you are, sort of 15 to 30 flavor experiences. The great thing with spirits is, unlike wine or beer, you can cork that bottle and revisit those experiences for years to come. So when you part with your hard-earned mullah to acquire, a proper fine spirit, it really pays to know something about that spirit, to know something about what raw materials were used, where were they from, how it was pot stilled or distilled, whether it be column or pot, how it was matured, exactly what cask it was matured in, when it was distilled, when it was bottled, details about that brand or that particular bottling that really help you understand the spirit. If you want to be transported by a spirit or spirited away by a whiskey or rum's provenance, you need this information, and at that premium level you should expect it too. The world is awash with regular age statement whiskies, and many of them are excellent, don't get me wrong, but a lot of house character and a lot of very experienced whiskey experts and writers will lament the fact that the modern sort of increase in demand for whiskey, which has really outstripped supply in many ways, has had a sort of watering down effect on house character on certain brands, and they compare bottlings from the 70s and 80s with now, and certainly with these regular age statement whiskies, you don't get an awful amount of detail. You get the age, you get the alcohol was cut down to, whether it's been chill filtered potentially, and not a whole lot more. At Navigate, we do an awful lot of cask selection. We're involved in cask selection either ourselves, directly with our own development with distilleries, or working with our partners La Maison de Whisky in Europe. And we feel compelled to put as much information as possible onto the bottles. Any expression you can think of that is a cask selection or single cask, you're going to get lots of geeky detail about the cask number, the distillation date, how it was bottled, what it was matured in, and this is kind of like going back in time in a way, because we're now picking from distillery warehouses those very special casks that present whiskey that is not under pressure to be blended and produce an age statement of 50,000 or more bottles. We're really trying to cherry pick the best of the best, and it is a bit like going back in time and tasting those distilleries or that house character as it expresses in its most unadulterated form. Often we're bottling at cask strength or at elevated alcohol volumes to give you the opportunity to experience that whiskey, as I said, unadulterated, and cut it with water potentially to the level that suits you. We are really inspired by producers that project as much information as they possibly can, even on their regular commercial bottlings, none more so than Waterford themselves. If you enter that terroir code on the back of the bottle, you get an unprecedented level of detail relating to the specific farm on this single farm expression, that the grain was sourced from, the details about the farm, the soil conditions, every single cask that spirit was aged in, which is amazing detail, amazing transparency, huge logistical cost to do that, but it projects passion and it gives you the ability, it empowers you to really understand that spirit be transported by it, and we feel this is important on the premium end of the segment. So that sums up transparency. I think it empowers, it engenders trust in the consumer. Brands that project transparency and traceability are starting to attract the real whiskey geeks, those real collectors that want that experience that rewards their expense on a fine spirit. So look for trusted independent bottlers. Look for brands that open their book to you. Trust me, it'll be rewarding in your drinking experience. Cheers.